are on Kilayim Perek Zayin Mishnah Gimel. Kilayim Zayin Gimel. In the last Mishnah, the last thing we learned was that if you plant al gabe hagefen asur ve'eno mikadesh, that if you planted where it was less than, remember we said you had to dig a charitz, when you wanted to do havracha, you wanted to run you can't see here, you wanted to run the vine under the ground. If it was more than 3 tfachim under the ground, then you could plant above it, and if not, you couldn't. So we said that if you planted al gabe hagefen, if it wasn't 3 tfachim deep and you still planted, it was asur ve'eno mikadesh. It was prohibited to do so, but it was not mikadesh. It didn't make the produce kadosh nor the vine. So our Mishnah is a continuation of that, of things that are osrin velo mikachim, i.e., the Chachamim prohibited you from planting in this way, but if you did, it wasn't full out Kilayim. It wasn't full blown kadosh, that you had to burn it. Rather, it's still asur. So says the Mishnah, Elu osrim velo mikachim. Here are the kinds of Kilayim that are prohibited. You're not allowed to plant that way, but not mikadesh. Motar chorban hakerem. Chorban hakerem, is going to remind you, is what we called karachat hakerem. So if you recall, the Bartanura explains, we said that karachat hakerem was sheshesrei amah. I'll just take you back and remind you, karachat hakerem is if you had a kerem and you had an unplanted area, in the middle of the kerem, and we said that in order for you to plant in karachat hakerem, you had to have sheshesrei amah, 4 amot around of avodat hakerem, and then according to Beit Hillel, the motar is 8 by 8. It had to be a minimum of 8 by 8, otherwise you couldn't plant in it. What if it was 6 by 6 or 4 by 4? So then asur, you're not allowed to plant in this karachat hakerem. So says the Mishnah, back to our Mishnah, if you planted in motar chorban hakerem, if there wasn't 16 by 16, the Bartanura explains, okay? It was tetvav amah bezarasha sheva amot. Im lo yusham tetvav amah. But let's say they weren't 16 by 16. It was only, 10 by 10. And you planted you had the 4 amot by 4 amot, but if it's only 10 by 10, then you have 2 amot in the middle. So it's asur to do that, but that's not mikadesh. Similarly, motar mechol hakerem. Just to remind you, mechol hakerem was when you had between the kerem and the wall, the edge of the kerem. We'll just make these smaller so you just remember it, okay? Mechol hakerem, you had a wall here. And remember, it had to be 12 by 12, because if you recall, I'll just remind you, nobody ever planted next to the wall, and you only had to have these 4 amot here. You had to have 4 amot around of kidei avodato in order to work the kerem around here, okay? But you said then you only had to have was these 4 by 4. But if you had less, let's say it was shorter, it was smaller, it wasn't a full 4 by 4, 12 amot square, nonetheless you planted anyway. That's called motar mechol hakerem. The next thing we learned was motar piskei aris. Let's see if we can find it down here. Remember, the aris was when you had against the wall, when you had the plants against the wall. Let's see if I can find piskei aris. Here we go. We'll go back to here. And we said that in order for there to be piskei aris, you were missing, I must have erased these, 8 amot in here. Okay, so in order to, if there was 8 amot, then you could plant the motar. If there was more than 8 amot. If there wasn't 8 amot, then you couldn't plant. Okay, so if you planted motar piskei aris, titnan, we learned, im yesham chet amot, if there were 8 amot, lo yavi zero lasham, if there's only 8. V'im hichik shishat tvachim mikan, v'shishat tvachim mikan, v'zarat hamotar lo kidesh. So if you recall, we said you needed 8 amot. But let's say you didn't have 8 amot. Let's say you only had, in your aris, you only had 4 amot. But you were marchik 6 tfachim and 6 tfachim, and you planted over here. So again, that's not considered Kilayim d'oraita to the point where it's makdish, but nonetheless, it's still asur. Finally, motar apif yarot. Remember, we learned that the apif yarot is a lattice work that you plant that you're hanging on. And we said if you hung the vine on one side, then you couldn't plant on the other side of the apif yarot because it was all considered batel, negated vis-a-vis the geffen, the vine. So if you planted under the motar, the other side of the apif yarot, that's again asur v'lo mikadesh. Aval, tachat ha-geffen, if you planted under the geffen itself, or v'avodat ha-geffen, if you have it within 4 single geffen, it's 6 tvachim. If you plant in the 6 tvachim of one single vine, or ve'arba amot shebekerem, or within 4 amot of a kerem itself, of an entire vineyard, harei elu mekadshot. That's mekadesh, and you have to burn it, and it's asur behana'a. Okay, we'll stop here. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to contact me at arspoter@gmail.com, and we'll dedicate our learning to the memory of my father, Harav Simcha ben Yitzchak Kalman. Have a great day.